Good morning from quarantine. All right, I got people on. Welcome. It's Friday morning, which means we're taking a break from Bikram and going to do some vinyasa. Yay! It's fun to change it up, even though the days all are kind of the same. In quarantine, it's fun to have Friday vinyasas. It just feels like a nice marker of a different kind of day to bring in the weekend. So I'm excited for today's practice. We're going to loosen up and open the hips. As always, work on warriors 1, 2, and 3. So it's warrior day. We're going to go through all 3 of them and then do plenty on the floor to, just get those hips open and stabilized for movement throughout the rest of the day. So grab blocks if you have them, your yoga mat and some water, and we'll get started. Let me take a drink. Okay. Let's just settle in. Taking some deep breaths. Standing position here. I hear a phone ringing in the background. I'm going to turn that off. I'll be right back. Okay. So, where was I? Not worrying about outside distractions, just trying to be in the moment. Okay. Feet together, comfortable standing position. Let's just take some deep breaths here. So inhale deeply with me. And exhale. We're going to do that one more time, a little deeper this time. Inhale. And exhale. Keep going there. Inhale, deep exhales. And begin to just rock back and forth on your feet. As you inhale, bring the weight back over your heels. Feel your chest lift and fill with air. Brings your shoulders up. And then as you exhale, come forward on your toes. And let the shoulders kind of round and slump forward. And just keep that up for another breath. Inhaling and rocking back, shoulders open, and exhale, rocking forward, slumping over like you're getting ready to type. And then inhale and exhale. So as you check in and feel that change in weight distribution, you can also rock side to side a bit and feel the way it is distributed along the sides of your feet, those outside blades when you come to the left, on the left outside blade, and then the right. And maybe even pick up the corners of those toes as you go back and forth. So just notice all the ways that our feet carry us and how it feels in there when we change what we're asking them to do. Based on how we're standing, it's a lot. So look down at those toes, say thank you, spread them nice and wide, and try just being mindful to grip each toe down on the mat one at a time as much as possible, with a nice wide opening between all of them. And then find that position from back and forth that we did, back over your heels. Balls of your feet are connected to the mat and deep in the heels, so much so that you can even lift those toes off the mat before you put them back down. Let's inhale, bend slightly at the knees and bring arms overhead. Look up at the hands if you want, if it's comfortable on your neck. Exhale, bring them down. So we're just starting to flap those bird wings. Inhale, arms overhead. And exhale, bring them down. And with that micro bend in the knee, keep going with the arms. Inhale up, exhale down. And just notice when you bend your knees and then straighten back up, see if you can kind of feel that stretch along the back of your calves, lower down where your calves meet your ankles and that Achilles tendon area. Feel that stretch there with just a small bend in the knees, and we're just opening up the shoulders as well. So let's keep going here. Inhale, and I'm crossing my arms in front of me. On the exhale, switch the cross every now and then just to change it up. Inhale, arms overhead, legs straight, and we're going to do a twist here. Twist to the right, arms to the side. Inhale it up. Twist to the left. Exhale, bring them down and twist. Inhale, up and straighten. Exhale, twist. Inhale, up and straighten. There you go. Okay, let's meet in the middle here. Inhale, arms overhead. Grab your right wrist with your left hand. Bring the right foot behind the left and just do a little curtsy and pull over to that left side, hanging onto that wrist. Feel the stretch in your side body, especially lower down where your waist and hips meet on the right side. Feel that stretch. And then we'll come back up. Take opposite hand now. So right hand pulls left wrist, left foot behind, little curtsy and side stretch. And again, connect in the side body, especially where the waist meets the hips. And let's come back up and do it one more time. To the left, pulling the right arm, right foot is behind the left foot. And bring it up, step on the right, cross left, behind, and pull on that left arm. And bring it back up. Hands at heart center in prayer. Once again, check in with your feet. Weights mostly in the heels, and you feel the balls of the feet connecting to the mat. The toes can be lifted, and then when you bring them back down, spread them nice and wide. So shoulders here. Roll shoulders up to the earlobes, and then roll them back, and then go the opposite way. Up and over. That a few times, maybe 3 times. Here I'm in the middle of number 2. And number 3. Return to that deep breath. Keep your mouth open for the exhale if you want, just to make sure you can hear it and hear that you're doing it. And now the neck, just bringing the neck back and forth, drop ear to shoulder. Feel that stretch in the opposite side, ear to shoulder. Now I'm feeling it on the left. Few neck rolls. So we've checked in with the feet, the ankles, bent the knees a bit, checked in with the hips, the shoulders. So stack it all up now. Bring your shoulders up and back. Let the shoulder blades slide down your back, and then do that core check. That by lifting and broadening across the chest, you didn't arch the upper back. So you pull in at the belly and the spine straightens behind you. Hands in prayer. Let's move into our gentle chair, which is going to not be as deep as the chair we do in Bikram. I'll turn to the side so you can see the difference. Standing into Tadasana, hands at heart center. I'm just going to micro bend the knees, lift the arms, and keep them separated, pinkies turned in towards one another or hands in prayer. Pull in at the belly, and then sink back a bit and feel that stretch along your lower calves and Achilles. And you can look up at those prayer hands. Here's a modified, kind of gentle, more straightened chair than the one that looks like this in Bikram. This is pretty different pose, really, vinyasa chair. Okay, now let's bring hands down, start to send the booty back, hinge at the hips for your first forward fold. I'm going to take my blocks today. Hamstrings and hips are tight for me this morning after a little too much running. So rather than a straight forward fold, I'm really going more into a halfway lift. So if this is what you need as well, rest the hands on the upper thighs or pass over the knees and rest them down at the shins. Micro bend in the knee, booty is back. Also do the blocks, and we'll just hold this half lift. And then walk the knees, straighten one knee and then the other to kind of walk out the feet. And just get comfortable in this halfway lift. I separated my feet a little so that they're, about 4 inches apart or so. Just a little separation. If you need to do that, feel free. It's a little easier on the hamstrings and the hips, especially if things are tight this morning. So bend one knee at a time, walk it back and forth. Feel your hips shift from one side to the other. Don't worry about having them so stable right here. Feel that stretch, hips shake back and forth. Belly is pulled in. Keep the belly lifted. Give it a feel if you need to with your hand and ask it to come on in, because that is going to help. A belly pulled in helps open up that lower spine in our fold and protects the back. Okay, let's keep going into that full forward fold by bending the knees a little more, as much as you need to, that you can rest the belly on the upper thighs. Hips high, belly rest on upper thighs. My knees are really bent to make this happen. And I can rest hands on the block here, forearms resting on the block. Head and neck hang. If it's comfortable to get your hands all the way to the ground, fine. But for this forward fold, I'm really just making sure that my belly is connecting with my thighs by bending the knees deep. Hang here, feel this. If you want to experiment after you've gotten a little more stretch and you're a little more loose, you can begin to experiment by straightening the knees just a bit, but keep the belly and thigh connection. Let's inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, fold. 2 more times. Inhale, halfway lift. Halfway lift means my belly can come up off my thighs. My legs can straighten a little more. And then exhale, bend the knees, belly to thighs, fold. 1 more. Inhale, halfway lift, belly off the thighs. You can turn your gaze a little higher, straight ahead. Exhale, fold. Bend the knees, belly on thighs. Let's come up all the way. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, bring them down through heart center, and we're back in Tadasana. Okay, great. Let's add on to this. So you know some sun salutations are coming. This is where we add on to the forward folds. So come to the top of your mat so that you can use the length of it. Place your blocks on your mat at the top if it's felt good to use blocks, or you have them. If you don't, then you'll just use the mat or your legs to rest your hands, and making sure that I'm far enough from this wall behind me that I can do some swan dives up and down. So making sure I've got enough arm room. Okay. Grab my water. So let's begin. We'll work into those one step at a time sun salutations before we match them to our breath a little faster later. So come to Tadasana, hands at heart center. Maybe you've been there waiting for me this whole time. Inhale, arms overhead, slight bend of the knees. You can look up if you want. Exhale, forward fold, hips hinge back, booty back, hips hinge. All the way down with knees bent. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back into plank. So plant the hands, left foot steps back, right foot steps back. Hold plank here. You can always come down onto your knees and flip the toes down too if you want. If you're up high with me, your toes are tucked. Spread your fingers wide as you did your toes before, and just check in with each pad of the finger that it's pressing down into the mat. Hold plank here, and then rock back and forth on your toes a bit. So coming back on your toes, I'm going to bend the knees and pedal it out in plank. And feel that stretch in the back of your ankles and in your toes. I am bending my knees, walking it out, and I'm also going to go hips side to side here in plank. I've got some popping happening, popping and twisting, and everything's waking up. Okay, so from here in plank, drop the knees if you haven't already, untuck the toes, and then lower down with control, keeping your elbows along the sides of your ribs, which, in other words, tuck the elbows in towards one another. Don't let them fall. Keep them always tucked in and lower down. Come all the way down onto your belly. Rest on your forearms and keep hands and forearms parallel to one another here. Set by lowering down, letting your forehead touch the mat, and then inhale, peel yourself up for Sphinx pose. A little different than Cobra or Up Dog. In Sphinx, we have our forearms down on the mat. Lift at the chest here. Drop the shoulders away from your ears. And then shake your head out from side to side. Loosen up at the neck. Bring hands, pull them back towards your waist, and then push just back into a child's pose. So here we are, child's pose. Slide your hands forward. Make it an active child's pose by continuing to press those hands and fingertips into the mat. Lift the forearms off the mat, and this is opening the shoulders. So feel that opening in the shoulders, and you can kind of rock back and forth, pressing one forearm at a time into the mat to feel each shoulder open. Inhale to tabletop or on all fours. And then continue with your cat-cow. With an inhale, we're going to drop the belly, lift the gaze for cow, and exhale, pull the belly in and round the spine. Bring your gaze up at your belly button that is really drawn in. Inhale, drop the belly, fill it up with air, gaze up. Exhale, howling cat. Inhale, one more cow. Notice the control you have over whether or not your tailbone and your pelvis are tucked or tilted. And then let's bring hip circles into it. Shoot the hips back, around the ankles, in a clockwise direction. Do 3 circles clockwise, hip circles over the ankles in child's pose. And then once you've hit the top of 3, bring it back the other way. Deep breaths here, feel that breath. Once you've hit 3 on all sides, come back on up to plank. And I want to bring your attention to the way you use core when you come to the top of your mat after our sun salutations. So when I tell you to come to the top of your mat, if you'd like to get some core, extra core work when you do that move, to come to the top of your mat, shift your weight forward so that your shoulders are over, they pass your fingertips, pull the belly in, and then take baby steps high on your toes with belly in and tiptoe up to the top. And as I come a little higher, I've got to reach hands even higher. But that is a way to use core during a sun salutation when we come to the top of our mat. And then let's try that one more time going back to the mat. So plant the hands. You might need to be on fingertips to start. As you lift the core, which lifts your hips even higher, and tiptoe your way back into plank. And then one more time, come to the top of your mat with your core work by shifting a few inches, coming high on your tiptoes, and feel that core pull in as it helps bring the legs forward using the hip flexors. It's that core to hip flexor connection that's bringing those toes forward. So I'm going to come to a halfway lift. Exhale and fold. Inhale, arms overhead, hands in prayer, bring it back down. Okay, let's add on to that. The work never ends. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive or bring hands through heart center into a forward fold, deep knee bend, chest or belly on the knees, drop the head and neck. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back into plank. And again, we're gonna shift shoulders over fingers, keep elbows pulled in along your ribs. Exhale all the way down. Plant the hands under your shoulder. Inhale for cobra. Lift your chest off the mat. Activate the glutes. Zip up your cobra tail. That's your ankles, calves, inner thighs. Exhale back to all fours. And let's prepare for the first down dog. Press the palms of the hand and the pads of the fingertips into the mat. Flip the toes. Hover just a few inches off the knees. And begin to lift high at the hips, high on your toes, knees bent. Lift at the hips, press the palms into the mat. Push yourself away from your hands. Hips high. And here, with knees bent and high on your toes, you can begin to pedal out your dog, straightening one leg at a time, and feel that nice long stretch on the straight leg, up the calves, up the hamstrings. Suck the belly in to really get a nice hamstring stretch. And pedal out your dog, walk your dog. Breathe here. Make the adjustments you need to. Every down dog every day is different. And if you ever feel like you've kind of fallen out of where we were, just remember to come back onto that tabletop position, hovering your knees, and then push back. So at this point, just find a place of stillness in your down dog. Maybe take a break with all the adjustments. I'm still trying to get mine out. But I do want us to take one nice deep breath in stillness in the down dog. So find that spot where you're at. Find a place to focus on with your gaze. Your eyes are open. Gaze is between your legs at the wall behind you or room behind you. Take a deep breath. Inhale and exhale. And remember that core work we talked about? You're going to inhale all the way forward into plank and beyond past your fingertips. Pull the belly in, which lifts the hips high, and tiptoe on those toes all the way up to your halfway lift. And fold and inhale all the way up. Hands in prayer, bring them down to heart center. Okay, that felt really good. Let's go through that one more time. That was a complete sun salutation. Great job. That was pretty slow moving one. Let's go through, let's do it 2 times straight. Just those sun salutations, and I'll give simple cueing. We'll go through matching breath to movement and increase the heart rate a bit. So in Tadasana here, give your foundation a check by looking down at your feet, spreading and opening those toes and shifting the weight back so that it is over the heels. Belly is pulled in even as chest is lifted, shoulders rolled back. Glutes are strong, hands to heart center. Inhale, arms overhead, slight bend in the knee, look up. Exhale, swan dive down, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back into plank. Lowering all the way down, Chaturanga Dandasana, upward facing dog or cobra. And exhale back, downward facing dog. Make the adjustments. I'll let us do a nice deep breath here. So exhale everything out. Let's take one deep breath. Inhale here together. Exhale, let it go. Inhale, shift your weight forward into plank and beyond, past your fingertips with your shoulders if you can. And exhale, bring those toes to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Hands overhead. Exhale, hands through heart center. Steady, soft gaze. Good job. One more time. Inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, swan dive, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back into plank, lower down, chaturanga dandasana. And now inhale into your cobra if you want to rest your belly on the mat, or up dog. Bring it all the way through and lift those thighs off the mat in up dog here. Shine the chest forward. Exhale, downward facing dog. Hips shoot back. Press through the pads of the fingers, the palms. And bend the knees a bit to get those hips as high as you can and open in the shoulders. And once you've gotten your hips high, then you can begin to, rather than thinking about straightening your legs, think about letting gravity pull your heels down to the mat. That's what straightens your legs. And if you're not there yet, you'll just have knees a little more bent in your down dog. And heels will not touch the mat, which is where I am at today. Deep breaths. Inhale, shift your weight forward past your fingertips. Exhale, bring the toes in, pull the belly in, use your core to tiptoe feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Feel that inhale, lift you halfway, and then feel the exhale. Air leaves the belly as it rests on the thighs. Inhale, reverse swan dive. Hands in prayer up top. Exhale, bring them down to heart center. Closure of that sun salutation series. Good job. Take a drink of water. Hopefully you're feeling it. Heart rate has increased a little. Need a drink. Yay, I've got lots of people on this morning. Oh yeah, awesome. Maybe it's AP students, it sounds like. Spanish AP students, sharing yoga with them so they can relax before the test. What a good idea. Hi students, happy to have you guys. This is a perfect sequence for pre-test because we're going to do those warriors and that'll get you in the right mindset, the warrior mindset to take that test. Have you guys learned warrior in Spanish? What's warrior in Spanish? Yeah, I'm going to learn a new Spanish word today, warrior. Okay, let's do it then. Let's get into those warriors, shall we? Okay, so we're going to go through that sun salutation again, only it'll have us prepped. Yeah, here, I think it's come through. Oh yeah, gori. Gorriera. I'm not good at Spanish. I should be better at Spanish, of course. My name is Maria, after all. All right, enough of that. Okay. Time to get into some warriors. Guerrillo. I mean, it's like guerrilla warfare is what I'm thinking. It's like, okay, Carmen's got to be laughing. Okay. Let's move into those sun salutations into the warriors. So we're in Tadasana here, hands in prayer at heart center. Take a deep breath. Get your giggles out at my attempt to pronounce warrior in Spanish. I have to get the giggles out myself. Inhale, exhale. Okay, inhale, arms overhead. Exhale, forward fold. Bring hands through heart center, or you can swan dive if you're feeling extra peppy. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, step back into plank. Hold plank here, breathe here. We're going to exhale, shift forward over those fingertips, lower elbows down, and inhale into upward facing dog. Exhale down into downward facing dog. So here's our warrior one. We're going to inhale, right leg up. This is three-legged dog, and I want you to notice the difference between your hips being square to the mat in three-legged dog. Hips are square to the mat versus you control hips opening out towards the front and even take a bend at the knee if you want, and you can see your toes if you look for them under your left armpit. So you can wave at yourself with your toes. That's a trick I like to do. That's kind of fun. Feel that opening, and then you control bringing that hip square again, which will not allow your leg to be lifted as high once your hip is square. Fine. We're going to work on core here. So exhale, push all that air out as you bring belly in and tuck knee to nose, or at least as high as you can get it. And then push it back up. And then we exhale, air out again as we bring knee out to the right elbow. So outside the right elbow, as close as you can get it. Push it back up on an inhale as a lift. Exhale. Exhale lets that belly really squeeze in and bring the knee to the opposite elbow now. And bring it back up. So that was core strength, and use that same core strength to bring the knee in slowly like you're doing knee to nose. But when you've reached your limit, you can drop the foot and come up, drop the foot between your fingertips, come up on fingertips, whereas, you know, if you practice with me in a low lunge, I like to come up on my blocks and feel this low lunge, really opening the hips on the left front side, right knee stacked over right ankle, left hips open. And this is getting us prepped for warrior one. So in this low lunge, take your back tucked left toes. You can move them out just a bit towards the side of the mat, and then drop the ankle and inhale your way up to warrior one. So my hips are square towards the part of the room that I'm facing. My shoulders and hips are both square. Knee is bent in front, stacked over ankle, and my back heel is dropped down. If you need to shorten your stance, tiptoe your toes up if you need to. Final expression is to lift those arms straight up, frame your ears with your biceps, but we're not arching that back, remember, so pull the belly in, glutes are strong, belly is pulled in and strong, arms are lifted, warrior one. So let's make it kind of dynamic, because your legs might be kind of burning, which is good, it's the idea. But go ahead and touch back down, turn the heels up for that low lunge. Heels lifted again, and I'm square on my toes. And then inhale to warrior one. And feel maybe even more of an opening here since you let it go and then rejoined. And now I'm really feeling that burning in my quadricep, which is great. One more time, hands come down, heel comes up, and toes are square, low lunge. Inhale, warrior one. Okay, let's move on to the other side. So I'm going to return to plank here. And from plank, push up into down dog, and we're going to move into warrior one on the other side. So find your down dog. Remember, we do a little core work to begin. So inhale, left leg up now, three-legged dog, hips square. And when you are ready to open it with control, open up that hip, bend at the knee if you want, and peek for those toes under your right armpit. Feel that stretch along the left side body. Wave at yourself with your toes. Bring it over. Three-legged dog, square hips, and now bring knee in, Keep the hips high and try to get knee to nose. Bring it back, three-legged dog. Inhale is a lift, and an exhale brings the knee into the left elbow as high as possible. Inhale, lift. Exhale, cross under the body. Bring that left knee to the right elbow as high as possible. Inhale, lift. Using that same core strength, bring knee in like you're doing knee to nose, and once you've got it as far forward as you can, gently drop those toes between your hands for a lunge. Low lunge. Right here on my blocks. You can also be on fingertips touching the floor, but feel the opening now. Tremendous opening in the front right hip. Hold here. We really need these hips to be open. And you can see that I'm letting gravity sink my hips down. Sometimes I inhale and they come up a bit. Exhale, let them sink down. Open the hips. Now to move into warrior one, I've already got that nice bend in my left front knee. I'm just gonna walk my toes out a bit towards the side of the mat on the right, drop the heel, square hips to the mat, and then inhale and bring arms up. Warrior one on the left. I need to make some adjustments here. Most important thing is hips and shoulders are square. I can't emphasize that enough, especially you'll see when we move to warrior two that they will open. Start to feel that burn in the left quadricep. Final expression, arms are lifted. Back leg is straight and strong. Right glutes fired up, belly in, arms lifted. Now let's make it dynamic by lowering yourself back down, flipping those toes square again into your low lunge. Feel that. Inhale, warrior one. Find your warrior one. Let it sink here a bit with some breath. When you've kind of got that quad fired up as much as it'll go and you need the relief, you lower back down into the lunge and then inhale it back up. Okay, lower back down, go all the way to plank, and let's just take a moment here, lower all the way down your belly and just rest, because I know that that is a lot of work. This is a pretty challenging class today. I'm gonna find my resting position in Sphinx here by being propped up on my forearms. If you want to rest in child's pose, or just do a belly down Shavasana and lay one of your cheeks down on the mat, rest on your belly. And I'm gonna take a drink of water too. I encourage you to do the same if you've got it. Okay, so let's explore the differences between warrior one and warrior two. Hips square versus hips open. So we'll begin with the right leg in front. And in order to do that and have you be able to see it, I'm going to need to turn to the other side. But you can stay put if you want. Or I don't know, maybe it would make sense for you to turn to the other side too, so we can both keep facing the screen. Okay, so to get into warrior one, let's go ahead and get ourselves right in there. Rather than going through a sun salutation, just take your blocks if you have them, or if you use fingertips. Come into your low lunge with right leg forward. So in low lunge, the knee is stacked over the ankle, toes are tucked in the back leg, and then you just turn that leg on to lift it off the ground. So here's our low lunge. Breathe here, right leg forward. Inhale into warrior one or a high lunge. I'm in high lunge now, and the only difference between high lunge and warrior one is what I'm doing with my back foot. So I went from a low to high, and for warrior one from high lunge, I'm just gonna tip the toes out a bit on the back foot, drop the heel, Square my hips and shoulders again. Now I'm in warrior one. So opening into warrior two from here is to simply open this left hip. You can bring the hips now square, or I should say open to the screen in front of you. And now that left foot is parallel to the back of the mat. So my right toes are still pointing to the wall, right knee's pointing to the wall. I've created an opening now in the hips. Strong leg, feel and see that energy that radiates from your hip crease all the way down to the blade of your left foot. Inhale, arms up. Here's your warrior two. So let's just go back and forth a bit. Warrior one, bring the arms straight overhead and bring that foot to a 45-degree angle in the back. Square the hips to the front. And then warrior two, open it up. The foot comes out, arms are to the side. One more time, bring this arm up, frame your ears with your biceps, warrior one, and really make sure that left hip is square. You can take your hand and help shift that hip square. And you know, honestly, my hips are not open enough right now that I can't comfortably rest my back heel down without coming out of that. So I'm gonna let my back heel come up, but I wanna make sure my hips are square. And then one more time, warrior two. And then let's just talk about warrior three from here. So for warrior three, it's a balancing posture. I have my right foot facing the side wall, and I'm just gonna come into that high lunge again with arms overhead, and then tip-toe the left feet forward, come onto the tip of my left toes with my arms overhead, and begin to lift that left heel as it lowers my upper body down. I'm wobbly a bit on my right foot, but I want to keep hips square. First they were square to the sidewall. Now as I lower my upper body, lift my back heel, they're square to the mat. And then finally, you can bring the arms out. Helps with balance sometimes to bring them out to the side. Feel that left leg turned on, left glute lifts the left heel. Right leg is strong and you're balancing. And if you're like me, you're shaky and balancing. But this is warrior three. So play with that balance, and if you want to go back, my mat is sliding everywhere. If you want to go back and forth between them all, go back and forth. Warrior three is the balance with hips square. Warrior one, hips are square with both feet down. And then warrior two is the opening with arms to the side. So just play with those warriors. I'm going to go through each one on my own here. And it's so fun to go from warrior two, swing arms into warrior one, and then tiptoe that heel forward as you sort of jump off the cliff, so to speak, to fly into warrior three. So play with that. That is a lot of work. I'm going to take a drink and then we'll move it to the other side. My right leg is feeling fired up and strong. Okay. I'm turning to the other side now to work the left leg in front this time. So as we did before, we'll just start in the warrior one through a low lunge. So for the low lunge, left foot is in front, knee is stacked over ankle, and this back foot can start with the knee down, tuck the toes, and then turn that leg on to lift it up. I'm in my low lunge. If I don't have blocks, I'm gonna just hold it up here, or I can lower down a little more, touch fingers to the mat. I love using these blocks to stay lifted. So let's really open up on the right front hip in this low lunge. And when you're ready, Step the toes out just a bit on the right, drop the heel, and you can inhale into your warrior one, left side. Breathe here. I can feel my belly is loose and popping out, which means my lower back is arched. So I'm going to pull the belly in and relieve some of that tension on my low spine. Deepen at the left hip crease. Inhale, arms up, warrior one. To move into warrior two, I step that back foot parallel to the mat, open up the hips on the right, inhale, arms up to my side, warrior two. I find warrior two to be the easiest, kind of most restful of the warriors because I have pretty loose hips, loose joints, and it's more comfortable for me to keep my hips open than it is to have them square. So this is more of a resting posture for me. Some people may find it more challenging. It depends on what your hips and pelvis are doing and how much mobility you have. Okay, so we're going to go back into warrior one from there by stepping the toes in. So your back foot creates that 45-degree angle, hips are square. And if you need to take a wider stance between your legs, just walk one foot out or the other to take a wider stance. Warrior one. And then for warrior three, we want to tiptoe that back foot in a bit. We're going to sort of launch off the back toes and onto the right or the left standing leg. So if you want to work on just some balance before you take the plunge, just come up off the toes and then come back down. Come up off the toes, come back down. When you're ready, arms are overhead, come off the toes, and let that lifting of the heel bring the arms down. And finally out to the side, if that felt good, like wings. And you're kind of taking flight here, standing on that strong left leg. Use the right glutes to lift the right heel, arms out. Oh, this feels good. Boy, did I need this today. Okay, so remember now we can play from warrior three to warrior one. Open up to warrior two. In this warrior two, check that that back foot is parallel with the back of the mat. And now we reverse what we just did and move through those warriors the other way. So warrior two, swing that back arm around, come up to warrior one. Hips are square, belly in, right? And then shoulders, the shoulder blades lifted down the back of the head is in line with the back body. And finally, you can launch off that back foot and take flight in warrior three. So play with that. And once you've had enough and your left quadricep is feeling as fired up and strong as your right, take another water break. And we will take it easy and hit the floor to kind of cool down for these last 10 minutes. Guzzling the water this morning to make up for how much coffee I had before I started the live stream. Okay, so here on the floor, we're going to do one strengthening pose for the glutes. If you want to make this more of a resting pose, you can use a block and it will help support you. We're going into bridge, so you can do a supported bridge. If you don't want to rest as much and you're just interested in firing up the glutes, which is going to help, getting the glutes fired up first thing in the morning through bridge is going to help your movement for the rest of the day, the walking and we've worked on bending and folding, and now firing up the glutes is going to help with your walking and counter some of that chair sitting that you might find yourself doing. So lowering down on your back all the way. Press those elbows into the mat as you dig hips and elbows into the mat, and give yourself a spine stretch. Stretch out from below, lengthen that spine, and come all the way down onto your back and the back of your head. Bring heels towards your fingertips now. And you're just going to turn on your glutes to lift your pelvis off the mat and towards the ceiling. So hang right here. Glutes turned on. Give them a feel if you need to. Make sure they're turned on. And there's so many variations. You can take your block, support under your tailbone with the block. And this is more of a resting bridge. You can hold bridge here with both feet pressing into the mat, or you can make this a more active bridge by bringing one foot straight out, pressing in with the other, and then alternating like you're taking steps in bridge. And this last one that I'm doing, having one leg out at a time, just turns on the glute that has the foot pressed into the mat, loosens up the other. So now we're isolating both sides. So whatever you've decided to take, give it one last push. Get those hips as high to the ceiling as you can. Feel an opening on the front side, engagement on the back side, and then drop it down. Come to rest on your back. Bring one knee up at a time now. Right knee up first towards the chest. Pull it in and down towards the armpit. Let that left leg relax. Right knee pulls in. Let it go. And then bring the left knee in towards the chest. Hang on with those hands, with those arms. Squeeze it in. Pull it down towards the armpit so it's more along the side body. Right leg is relaxed. Squeeze the left knee in. And now let that go. And then bring both knees up. And just hang on to your shins here and make this a very soft and comfortable massage on your lower back by rocking from side to side with both knees up. And if you've got any final movements you need to take before we head into Shavasana, feel free. Take any last movements that you need. And if you're ready to go into Shavasana, just let those legs fall heavy on the mat. Close your eyes. Turn palms up towards the ceiling. Let the toes just fan out, open from one another to the side. And breathe here. Take some really nice, deep breaths as you do a scan of your body, starting with your toes, starting with your feet. The feet are totally relaxed. Toes are fanning open, away from one another. The legs are heavy and soft. You've got a lot of weight in the back, upper back part of your hips, right up above your bum. That's really nice and heavy. Behind you, just lying in and giving in to the mat underneath it. You feel the same heaviness in your shoulder blades, in your back behind you. So you really feel a lot of weight connecting with the mat on your heels, your tailbone, and your shoulder blades in the back of your head. So do a scan that all of that feels nice and heavy. And your front body, your face and chest and palms, the front of your legs. They're light and airy. Just notice that difference. Just breathe here. That was a lot of hard work today. Give yourself an internal high five for showing up and doing that work. And acknowledge right now to your body that you know you asked it to do a lot. So if your mind has wandered here, no problem. Just notice where it went, what you might have been thinking about. Ask yourself to come back and take one more nice deep breath. And then blink open the eyes and wiggle the fingers and toes. I have to itch my nose. Notice what physical sensations you're going to check in with again. As you come out of that Shavasana, corpse pose, wake up from the dead. Make any last movements you need to before you push yourself up into a comfortable seated position. If it feels good to roll to one side or the other first and lie in fetal position with your head nesting in your arms, go for it. If you want to join me sitting just right on the floor, just ask you to check in with your backside and move any tissue out of the way so that you really feel an equal grounding down of the sit bones in the floor. So find that comfortable seated position. I'm going to cross and recross the legs. And I just want to thank you for joining me this morning. That was a really challenging class. It was even more challenging. I knew it would be somewhat challenging. Warriors are strengthening postures, so I knew it would be, but to combine them all that way and move from one to the other was a lot. So good job. Thanks for trying. Thanks for playing with me. And I just want to wish you a happy weekend that's coming up. And thank you for joining me once again. Share this class. It will stay up on YouTube, so share it if you'd like. Ask anyone else to give it a try. And I will be back next week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday morning, 8 a.m. For some more. So I will see you then. Have a great weekend and namaste. Good luck on that test, Spanish students. Bye. Adios.